Hey, welcome back to my Minimax 1100r aircraft build, where you get to watch me build an airplane from front to back. And I say front to back, I started my videos actually after I had built the wing ribs and the spars. So I do have an intention, in case you were just wondering, I am going to go back and actually pick up the spars and just build a small little spar section just so you can see how that builds. But really, it builds very similar to the fuselage. You just build a wooden frame and then you sheet it with plywood while keeping it against the fence, maintaining that it's straight and everything. But I'm going to show it anyway, and then I'm going to take my rib fixture and I'm going to actually demonstrate how to build a rib as well. I have enough, I've got extra parts to do that. So I'm going to show those eventually here, just so I can kind of make sure I have all those basic steps involved in the build. So last time we were building this left-hand side fuselage frame, and you can see here we've got it right here in a fuselage shape. And then I actually went ahead and built the right side. It just builds exactly like the left side. And then just careful to mark, you know, which one is going to get the ply on the left and which one's going to get the ply on the right, just to make sure that I don't make a mistake and accidentally sheet the same side of both of them. That would be pretty brutal. So, but I've made my marks just like this. It says left side ply right there. The one that's down on the plywood right now actually says right side ply, and that's what is down. So I'm confident I've got that correct. Had to go to Aircraft Spruce this morning while the fuselage sides are setting up and doing their thing. There'll be some time gaps where I can work on some other things. So I went and picked up all of the material. Basically, everything that I need to build my aileron. Well, not aileron, just my whole control stick. Everything involved in building the control stick. Since you've already seen my laser cut parts, I have that. So all my parts are here. So I've got those that I can use to work on that while I'm doing this, because when I get to the cross members, a couple of them get the UHMW bearing blocks, and I just figured if I'm going to make the bearing blocks and put them in place, I might as well make the whole stick assembly and put that in place at the same time to make sure everything's lined up and fits and all that before they actually get epoxied into the fuselage. So I will get kind of set up here. Oh, I have one more thing to show you. Give me 1 second. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was, since I drew the panel in CAD, I had my friend Bob Holman laser cut that for me. And I just wanted I purchased these today just to make sure that my planning was correct and I got the exact spacing I was hoping for. The circuit breaker and the switch, they fit the hole perfectly. So I feel really good about that. Of course, you know, you've got my master switch, my primary ignition, my secondary ignition, my ASV2 from MGL will have my my altimeter, my airspeed, and it'll also have VSI on it. And then the engine monitoring system, it's an EMS2 goes here, and then a panel mounted compass is over here. This is a double USB port from Crazed Pilot, and then these are just the circuit breakers that go along with those. I think it's 5 amp, 1 amp, 1 amp, and yeah. So, and the other one over here is actually for the fuel pump. So so I got that, and basically I have to build a box. So I have so there's a blank one for the back side, and kind of how this will go is you'll have the front side here,
and the backside there, it'll have 16th inch plywood sheeted over the top, and with the plywood over the top, basically this panel will recess into the fixture, and we'll have some screws to attach it, so I'll be able to remove this off the back to access the backside and the other electrical components that'll be mounted inside there. And so what I did besides that is I just basically made, I can show you on this one, I just made some 1/4 inch mahogany pieces with some little indexes so that they match the instrument panel perfectly. So number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so that gives me some that gives me some nice 1/4 inch plywood that I can screw to, and then on the front side it'll also go along here. I have another set of them in the box over here. It'll go along there, just allow more gluing surface for that portion. So anyway, we'll get to that later. I just wanted to share it with you. And I did want to say, when I first drew all of my laser cut parts that Bob cut for me, the stab, the horizontal stab on this particular model actually has 1/8 inch plywood for the horizontal stab rather than 16th inch. When I sent him the files, it actually has 16th inch and not 1/8 inch. I think one person who is watching my videos has actually purchased from Bob a full set. If you did, it was before I made the correction, and you have 16th inch ply. If you're building an 1100R, you should have 1/8 inch ply. And so if you would like to make a comment and let me know if you're the person that actually did that, I want to make sure you get the right plywood for that. I'll figure out how to get those cut and sent to you. So somebody else ordered after I made the change, so they bought some from him as well. So it's cool to see that there's some other scratch builders out there who are interested in the beauty of the laser and not having to cut all of those little parts yourself. But anyway, if you're that person, please let me know. I want to make sure you get these correct pieces for what you have. So yeah, all right, so I will get set up here, and we'll jump into what's next. All right. All right, I'll explain to you what I've got going on here. Basically, we end up with plywood. This 1/8 inch ply goes from the nose. Now this is not the nose I'm building, but this particular station 1 is the same on both planes. So on both on this one and on the one that I'm building. But from the very forward section all the way back to station 4, you actually have plywood. So what I'm doing is laying out the plywood, and I went home thinking about it after I just laid it on here for a second. And what I did is I made since this is the front of my fuselage here, this part right here, let me get over this way, you can see it, this is my front right here. So I made a line just at the front, and what I needed to remember, then I made a couple of marks over here where this station 1 actually lives, and so I made those marks. But then when I went away thinking about it, I realized that I have an 1/8 inch piece of plywood firewall that actually goes in between this station 1 and this next forward piece. So what I have to do is I need to move my plywood actually another 1/8 of an inch forward, so that I can, because I have to actually put some plywood. Let me show you here what I have to do. I'm just gonna have to use a piece of plywood to basically generate this gap. When I'm putting the next pieces of the nose section on. So I just need to account for that gap. And I hope I'm not confusing you, but all it is you see these two pieces here. There's an 1/8 inch gap between them, but I didn't draw it that way. So I'm going to keep station 1 where I have it drawn. I'm just going to move this an 1/8 of an inch forward by moving this line an 1/8 of an inch forward, so that my plywood overall ends up an 1/8 of an inch forward here, and it'll all make sense, I think, as we put it together. At least currently it's making some sense to me. So I guess that's what counts at the moment. And it's my job as the person talking you through this, is that it's my job to make sure that it makes sense to you. So. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna get the square, and we're gonna want to create this line at 1/8 of an inch further. We'll get the square in place and draw a new line. That'll get me that 1/8 of an inch forward. So now, when I position my plywood, I'm not going to bring it to that first red line I have. I'm going to actually bring it to this next black line I'm about to draw right there. And I keep finding little bits of epoxy that have to be just scraped off my table, so I don't want it to dent the plywood if it doesn't have to. So now I bring my plywood to that mark right there and get it against the fence. And then my piece, my fuselage side, is going to stay at my station 1 mark. And then when I get to, now I have the space that I need to add the 1/8 of an inch in between, which will be a solid sheet firewall. And then the other members will be forward of that. So, and as I epoxy those to this, I'll be leaving this gap by putting some spacers in here, so that when I pull the fuselage together at the nose, I'll actually insert this plywood firewall, and it'll get epoxied in at the same time that I'm pulling the nose together. So the first step here, once you get everything situated the way you want it, is this this first mark is actually going to be where I'm going to put the epoxy on the plywood, and I'm going to cut this out basically. So all I'm doing to do is trace this, and I'm going to trace it both inside and out. And that's going to give me a complete outline of where the epoxy is going to go. Because as you know, we want to put epoxy in both locations. We want to put it on the members, and we want to put it on the plywood. So
I'll just trace this out. Actually, I don't need to go any further because this line right here, the back of station 4, they count this as station 3. The back of station 4 is actually where this plywood gets cut off. So I don't need to go any further than that. Now we can move this out of the way. Not quite. We got to trace the bottom. Now we can move it out of the way. Slide this out of the way. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to extend this forward for now. So when I cut this off, this will get the front curved pieces later, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it at this angle right here. So I'm going to take this piece off. Some of my lines are just a little bit light, so I'm just making sure I can see them well. So now I'm going to take it to the bandsaw, and I'm going to make this, first I'll cut it off, not with the bandsaw there. I have to figure out how I'm going to do that, but let me get the other stuff set up to go to the next step, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I decided to, I was able to make the long cut on the bandsaw, no problem. The issue is to make this cut, it's at an angle, it's not square. So if it was square, I'd just put it on the table saw and cut it there. So I've got to use the jigsaw, and what I like to do when I'm using the jigsaw is if you put some blue painter's tape on both sides of your plywood, it actually keeps it from splintering out on you. So I've got tape on both sides, and I'll just cut this out. It's overcast and a little rainy today. I know it never rains in Southern California, but today is an exception, and I'm going to need a little extra light. So. This light, by the way, was on sale at Home Depot at Christmas time, and the batteries were 2 for 1, and it's really turned out to be just an awesome light. You can just position it and put it wherever you want, and it has 2 different brightness levels. So if it's too bright, all I gotta do is turn it down, and it works awesome. So, all right, let me get this cut here. And I just cut that last section a little bit because I just wanted to show you why it's worth putting the tape, because if you don't, with this mahogany plywood, this is what you get. So set this out of the way. I already know what I can use that for. Now I'll just grab my sanding block. I'll just tidy up this edge a little bit. I can still see my line, so peel the tape, got a nice smooth edge. which is awesome. And like I said before, my line on the bottom actually left plenty of material because I'll just take the flush router and route that clean after the epoxy set. So now the next step is for me to change the battery, because this one had a little juice left, but it's telling me that it's about done. So let me go get another battery. I'll be right back. All right, so this side is the one that was down. So this is the glue side. So I'm gonna make a note here that this side gets the glue, but I still want to know where all these members are when we flip this around, because I want to know where to put my staples. So let me grab the pencil here. So we'll flip this over. Alright, so now we'll line this up, and this actually ends up flush with the back of station back of station 4, and flush with this top edge here. So first we'll get it flush with the top edge, and then we'll pull it around. There. All right, we're gonna draw lines here as well. And this will help me locate where to staple when I have plywood on the other side. So, all right, what I want to do is just rough up the areas where we're going to get epoxy. Okay, we got good fit, so now we'll get some epoxy mixed up, get a whole bunch of staples ready, and we'll be ready to rock and roll here. Let's get my line straight. All right, so I got all those staples in, and there were just a couple of areas where I wanted just a little more. I wanted to see just a little more squeeze out of the glue. So I just have some light clamp pressure. This is not hardcore pressure at all. It's just very light, and what it accomplished exactly what I was looking for. I've got really good squeeze out all the way along here now, and so I feel really good about that. I've got a whole bunch around the seat belt area. Probably I kind of loaded that area up a little more than I probably had to, but I've got quite a bit that's finding its way out of there. So, but that's not a problem. And so I'm just gonna let this this will just set up now. And so I think I might do just one more thing before I go, and that's make this. There's a piece here at the back end that has a curve cut out of it, and so I might. I'll show it to you here. It's actually this piece right here. It's got a 2 3/4 inch radius from some arbitrary point out here in space. This is not dimensioned anywhere, so but I'll figure out about where I think that cuts through, and I'll scale this based on how wide I know this to be. I'll figure out how far I think this is from that point, and it's really no biggie. And then what I want to do is go ahead and just get that cut, and then I might rip while I'm at that. I might go ahead and rip these pieces right here. Yeah, these pieces right here, because from that station 4 aft, it's actually just a piece on the top and bottom. I believe it's 2.5 wide. Let's take a look here. It's RS 651. So we go back to our page here for our plywood, and RS 651 is 1/8 by 1.5 inches by 96. All right, 1/8 by 1.5 inches by 96. So I'll go ahead and rip a couple pieces of that and make this piece, and then I think that'll probably be my time limit for today. So yeah, all right, I'll get busy doing that. All right, so to make that piece, just gonna go ahead and mark it out, and it actually goes to the center of this piece right here. So I'll just mark both sides of that member, and then I'll mark the outline. And I'll go ahead and go in here and mark this off as well. All right. So I've got that all marked out. Just gonna find the middle of this. Pretty sure it goes to the middle of that. Yep, right to the middle. Cut that off there. And we're going to find this point where we're going to put that. I'm just going to do a quick little scale here. Now it's about 8.5, so it's about 4.25. And then we'll go 1.5 inch down. Just gonna make a couple marks here. So when I set up the protractor, I'll be able to just make sure I'm centered in there. Let me grab it. So rather than go off of the 2 3/4, I'm just gonna go off of where my 1.5 inch is here. And I'm gonna check and see if I end up in the same place here. And it's really close, so I'm just gonna back it in just a touch. Ever so slightly close that. Just inside it there, just inside it here, so that's good. So now we'll just make our curve. That. And then we just need our 1.5 inch here. That's right there. And our 1.5 inch here. That's right there. Now we just connect the dots. And that's our piece. All right, so that's as far as I'm gonna go today. I didn't look at my watch before I decided I was gonna try and cut that piece, so I'm gonna actually wait. I'm gonna wait and cut that another time, maybe tomorrow. But I've got it marked out, ready to go. I just threw my other Fuselage Side up here just for now. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I do appreciate it, and thanks for following along. If you're new here, I invite you to hit the subscribe button and that little bell next to it so you don't miss any of these episodes, and you can follow along as I build my plane. And yeah, so my engine deposit, which was 50% down, is in the mail. They should get it probably Monday, and that way Scott Kassler can get started on get started. That's not true at all. Actually, I can get in the lineup so that he can get started whenever he needs to. The timeline was a little bit of a surprise to me, but it's actually 8 months is what he said, but I really think it's going to be worth it to wait until that engine is available, because I'm pretty excited to get a really nice 4-stroke with dual ignition on this airplane. And I just feel like with the 2 wing tanks, I'm going to be able to basically just feel comfortable just pretty much going wherever I want to. So wherever I want to, obviously I won't have ADS-B. I don't see any reason to carry that weight out in Camarillo, where I plan to fly out of and house my airplane. It's not necessary. We're outside of the LAX Class B veil, so it'll be easy to fly out there in Ventura County and not have to be too concerned about all of that. But there's a lot
to do and see out there. Mountains, beach, there'll be all kind of scenery, and lots of different variety of terrain to fly around. So I want something extremely reliable, and that's why I made that engine choice. You know, after watching watching the gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, but I'm gonna actually link his channel here for you. He flies an Ultra Cruiser, which I think he took apart now, and he flies another Hummel airplane. And I think his Ultra Cruiser, he had like 1,500 hours on it, and all of that time was on the same half VW engine. So I'm gonna try and reach out to him. I'm real interested to hear how he got such great life, and he probably rebuilt it somewhere along the way. I'm sure he did, but I'd like to kind of hear the history of that engine from him. Yeah. So anyway, thanks again, and I'll catch you later.